Welcome back to Legacy Builders Unleashed podcast. I'm your host, Melinda Colón, and I am here with Aaron Davis. And so, Aaron Davis is actually in South Carolina, one of my favorite states to visit. And he has a solar business. And so, he runs Firefly Solar, a vertically integrated clean energy company that serves South Carolina, North Carolina, Georgia, and Virginia. Aaron brings a rare mix of leadership, resilience, technical awareness, and creativity to a space often defined by volatility. Thank you so much for being here, Aaron.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So let's talk more about just a little bit about what we were talking about earlier, the big bomb that dropped into your business, and maybe we should take it from a different lens in terms of what happens when the unknown, the undesirable happens in your business. I mean, the man that is made of resiliency and that goes out and builds businesses and does great things in the world, what is the first thing that you think about when, well, you can talk more about what that thing is if you would like, but what is
Sure.
the first thing that kind of pops into your head and how are you, I guess, repositioning or considering repositioning your business?
Yeah, great question. So the thing that happened is the bill that was passed, the budget reconciliation bill, uh, and there's a lot of negative impact in that for the solar business, solar industry, kind of across the board, and it went back and forth with several drafts. So the just a bit of backstory, there are certain tax credits with solar. So
Mm.
residential solar comes with a 30% federal tax credit, and commercial solar has that and sort of under some different parameters, and then there's manufacturing tax credits and utility scale tax credits and so on. And so the budget reconciliation bill was the initial draft that the House brought out, was going to eliminate eliminate all of that, all of those tax
Mm.
credits on December 31st of this year. And so a lot of us industry people, got together and went to Washington, did all sorts of things, and we, petitioned the Senate to change the language. And there was some backwards and forwards. And when it was finally settled, the draft that was signed into law on July 4th eliminates the residential tax credit on December 31st of this year,
Mm.
and the commercial and utility and manufacturing has a bit of a runway. They're scaling that down over an extended period, which is great because there's billions of dollars already invested in that would be
Right.
or pulled if they lost that runway. So it's the final version is slightly better than the original version. Um, but for residential, which is our bread and butter, that's really where we live. We do some commercial, but that makes up a relatively small percentage of our business. So for residential, which is our main bread and butter, we're sort of caught with our pants down a little bit because this
Mm.
was came very unexpected. Um, each administration ever since George W. Bush brought the credit out, back in his term, has
Mhm.
every administration since then, including Trump in his first term, has extended the tax credit, and Biden did the same, just like the others before him did. And so we thought everyone in the industry knew that we're not going to have this tax credit forever. Uh,
Yeah.
we'd built businesses and investments and everything, and overhead and structure and everything around the fact that we have it for a certain period of time. So to lose it with virtually no notice is,
Mm.
it's stressful to say the least.
Mm.
And another issue with it is that, we're still trying to figure out the language and the law around what it means to be ending at the end of the year. Do we need to be installed before the end of the year? Do we need to be paid for before the end of the year? There's
Oh,
language.
so there's more clarity that needs to be part of that language
Yeah,
too.
there's more clarity because they did change the language of how it was to what it is now, and so we're trying to get clarity around what exactly that
Okay.
means. But if it has to be installed before December 31st, that gives us an even shorter runway because the whole process of going solar can take, depending on the market and different things. In a very quick market, it could take a few weeks, but in a longer market, certainly the market we're in, 3 to 4 months is pretty
Oh.
and some
Really?
yeah, and sometimes longer. And I think the rest of this year it's going to be longer than that, just because there's going to be a lot of people scrambling to get in before the tax.
Getting in and out. Yeah,
So our
100%.
pipeline is going
So
to fill up. Yeah.
so for a few people that are listening that might not know what solar is, and I just
Mm,
kind of want to break it down for like the outside perspective, and you
sure.
correct me if I'm wrong. So I live in Florida. Solar is big.
Hmm. Yeah. Everywhere.
Like most buildings have solar, most residences, homes, like it's out of the ordinary not to have solar. And so these are like the solar panels that are on top of our roofs.
Hmm.
And depending on the neighborhood, the community that you live in, HOA guidelines, all that stuff, it could be warming up your like keeping your pool heated or kind of like a backup to your power going out in a hurricane. So it ranges the need, but then there is like this tax write off because it was almost as if it was marketed as free. Like you just kind of do it and then you get your money back. Am I right?
I,
And it was just like this
that's
really cool thing. It was like, why would you not do this?
Yeah, it's often marketed as free, which is a little misleading. But you do get 30% of it back from a federal tax credit.
Okay.
Different areas may have other incentives on top of that, but federally speaking, there's that 30% federal tax credit that will come back to you
Yeah.
out of the taxes you've paid,
Okay.
or you'll take it off the taxes you owe, depending on your situation. But then on top of that, and this is where people get sort of into the free word, is that it offsets your energy bill. So
Nice. Okay.
whatever you used to
Okay.
pay the electric company, you don't pay them that anymore because you're generating your own electricity, and so it pays
Mm.
for itself in that sense. Yeah.
Interesting. I mean, okay. And we said we were like we promised each other, pinky swear that we were not going to go political, but the number one challenge in the world globally is energy. So
Oh yeah.
really interesting to see what they're going to come up with to solve that problem. But you like it was I mean, I remember seeing the ads and just getting, like, the knock on the door, like, "Hey, we could totally do this. It's gonna save you a ton of money. It's gonna be
Hmm.
amazing," right? And then I go, "Honey, can you handle that?" Like, I just walked
Yeah.
away as a wife and an entrepreneur. I'm like, I it's so much. But as a business owner and you see this high demand, there's something that's an incentive for people to make their living different, if not better. And also, you're expanding or just kind of exposing people to a new opportunity, and it's
Hmm.
just like this amazing thing. And then have the rug pull under. And it's just like,
Yeah.
oh, how can I serve? And so you're right. I mean, at this point, everybody is going to be, like it's going to be a fire sale, if you will, in the market. It's
Mm.
going to be like, if you want it, you can get it now. Let's go ahead and do this now. Let's go, go, go now. And also at the same time pivoting. And
Yeah.
we see a lot of industries do that now with like, AI, the rise of AI. And, I was just talking to a buddy of mine who owns a website company, and a lot of clients are like not paying those high tickets anymore
Mm.
because of AI. There's like tools that build websites in seconds, and so he's competing with something that never takes naps and never goes,
Right.
just is practically invisible in terms of cost.
Yeah.
So for the entrepreneur who, or the investor, the business owner who is like, they have experience or they're starting to feel the tingles of a change in their market, in their
Mhm.
industry.
Yeah.
And they're like, what do we do? Like, do we pivot? Is it us? Is it them? Like, what is it? And I honestly, I feel like we're on the same page. It's not us. It's just the market changes. Like, there's not, if it was one thing or another, it's always going to be something. We just
Sure.
call to be evolving with the times. Would you
Yeah.
agree?
Yeah, yeah, very much. In the solar industry, we have this the term called the solar coaster, um,
I like that.
and that is and this is this particular moment is probably the biggest dip in the solar coaster that in the 12 years that I've been on the solar coaster. This is the biggest curveball, but there's a curveball every 6 months. Whether it's rising
Mm,
interest rates or whatever it is. There's always tariffs, supply chain issues. There's always every 6 months there's like something. This is
yeah.
just the biggest one, but like having been in the business for 12 years or 11 years, whatever it is, I've I've been on that solar coaster for a while. So while this is the biggest and most challenging
Yeah.
curveball, I've been through a few, and that's where the resilience comes in. I've learned to sort of to pivot quickly. I think I'm obviously stressed, and there's a lot going on right now, and I'm putting a lot of things together very very quickly, and so there's a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
But I think ultimately I'm handling it okay.
Hmm.
Whereas if this was 3 or 4 years ago when I hadn't been on that solar coaster for quite this amount of time, I probably would
Mm.
have been freaking out by now. Um,
Oh, wow.
and
Yeah.
this and that just comes with time. The more challenges you go through, the better you get at handling them. I think, and
Mm.
that's where that tenacity comes in and grows from. So yeah,
I love that answer. That's so cool. I mean, okay, so you talked about residential, you talked about commercial, and like having a background in commercial real estate, commercial construction. I know that this is like a secret sauce that, because the challenge for municipalities to release a lot of these contracts or these builds, these new construction, whether it be residential, like apartment buildings, or whatever it might be. Their challenges is like, where's the power coming from? Like,
mm.
we have to create more energy. We don't know where it's coming from. So
And that
you
is
do
so
have
true.
like that benefit where it's like, if positioning in front of a developer, or someone who with let's say an industrial plant, or especially grocery stores or Amazon, where they have to have temperature controlled facilities, and they're on the same their same platform like everybody else in that area. That's a
Mhm.
challenge, that's huge risk. And so
Yeah,
just from a positioning standpoint, just kind of wanted to throw that out to you. It's like, that might be a conversation for like developers who are really
yeah,
honestly thinking about like, how do we create our own energy? Data centers who like are running these AIs, these social media platforms, and they're running hot and they need to keep cool down. And so that requires a lot of energy,
yeah.
maybe more power. So I'm sure I'm not the first to think of those things. I'm sure there's tons of information about that. You probably already know about that too.
Yeah, well, there's no. I mean, you raise a lot of really, really good points that are very poignant points right now. Which is our number one. Our demand is growing. We need to be adding more electrons to the grid, and there's a lot that there's a massive conversation. A lot of times when it's spoken about, especially on a political level, it's spoken about very linear or looking through a very small lens. But the conversation of energy is a very big conversation, and solar is just one part of that. But our demand across the US and across the world is growing exponentially. A lot of that is to do with data centers and
Mhm.
AI.
Yeah.
So we're in a race right now. The entire world is in a race to dominate the AI world. And to do that, we need more data centers. To do that, we need more energy.
Yep.
And I just read a stat this morning that I don't know if it was this year or in the last 12 months or was it last year, but sometime in the last 12 months, 77% of new energy added to our grid has come from solar in the last 6 to 12 months. So
Wow.
it is a very fast growing industry and a very necessary industry. And the reason, and again, a lot of politicians talk about the all of the above approach to
Yeah.
energy, which is
Right.
important. I am not anti fossil fuels because I understand the current need for them. We can't do without them yet. One day, maybe,
Okay.
but right
Yeah.
now we can't. But we do need all of it. But the reason that solar has such an advantage in today's world where the demand is growing so quickly is that it's the cheapest and the fastest to deploy. You can
Mm.
deploy megawatts of solar in a very, very short amount of time for very little
Mm.
money compared to gas or nuclear or anything else.
Right.
Nuclear is not a bad form of energy, but we've only bought two nuclear plants online in the US in the last 20 years.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, guys, like when we talk about nuclear, it's not Oppenheimer nuclear. It's
Yeah,
like the smallest
yes,
bit of that. It's really small amount. You don't need much of nuclear energy
yeah,
to do a lot. So
that's
just
true.
wanted to kind of point that out. People go, nuclear, oh, that's
Yeah,
scary.
yeah.
And it's like, no, that's
Not the
not.
bad kind. Not the bad kind.
That's not what we're talking about. We're talking periodic table nuclear, like
That's right.
really just the element itself.
Electrons. We're
Yeah.
creating electrons, and even gas. Like natural gas is a big thing, and it's a big focus with the current administration.
Yeah.
But gas turbines to build a new gas plant, they're like 5 to 7 years behind on delivering those right now. So if we start a new gas plant today, it's going to be at least 5 to 7 years before I get the turbine I need to actually make that work. We could have
Mhm.
installed a ton of solar in the next 5 to 7 years. So anyway, again, we pinky swear not to get political, but I just want to get the
No, I
picture
think it's I
that
think it's a really good
it's not good.
reflection, Aaron,
Yeah,
because what you're saying is that you've done your research and you understand what's comparable to what solution. Like, you need more energy. Here are the other ways that you could do it, but you
yeah,
could also do it this way. And
and
I'm selling the best way.
yeah,
Like, that's what you're doing for people.
yeah. And another point you mentioned about, you're talking about, I forget how you worded it, but you were talking about essentially producing energy where it's needed, uh,
Yeah.
in plants and so on. And that is another big thing too. So that's another great reason for solar and having rooftop solar, whether it's residential, whether it's commercial, is you're producing the energy actually where it's needed, which means so transmission lines and so on, they're like highways, they need maintenance.
Yeah.
the less
Yeah.
the less we're putting on those major transmission lines, the
The
better it is
better.
for them.
Yeah.
They do a lot better and they will last a lot longer and they need a lot less maintenance if we're producing energy at the site where it's actually being needed. So that's another great reason for rooftop solar. So
Yeah. 100%. Okay, so you're like, I'm excited about where we're going with this conversation because I want to talk about like um you is like you've I don't this is what I'm getting from you. I'm getting I like you're speaking resiliency.
mhm.
You're it's not just a word to you, it is how you think, it's how you're creative. This is how you've done your market research so you know how to present the value to your clients. And these are all things that a lot of entrepreneurs still need to learn. And
Mm,
they know they need to learn it, but they just don't know how to go about learning it. And so with this challenge that you have, let's call it a challenge, a
mhm,
hurdle that you will be fine with, right? Like, because
mhm.
you're resilient, you'll get through it. Um, what are some steps, like, what are some of the things that you did initially or are doing now to prepare yourself for the pivot?
Yeah, so we're working hard. So just a little background. When I first started this company, I called it Palmetto State Solar. It being in South Carolina, that's the Palmetto State. So I called it Palmetto State Solar. And in 2020, we rebranded. And the reason we rebranded was two reasons. One, to avoid some confusion with a company with a very similar name, but also because at that point we'd branched outside of South Carolina. At that point, we're in Georgia and North Carolina as well. And soon after that, we're in Virginia. So I wanted a name that was less sort of geographically sort of, limited. So, but we kept the business entity was always Palmetto State Solar. We were just doing business as Firefly Solar. So
Mhm.
what I've done, and I started another company that's I've never really got off the ground yet, but I'm working at it more aggressively now, which is Firefly Juice, which is
Oh,
um, which is EV charging infrastructure,
nice.
and then I also started, and we're doing some of this Firefly Roofing. So I've got all these Firefly brands. So what I did was I changed the legal entity name from Palmetto State Solar to Firefly Construction Group.
Ooh,
And under
good.
Firefly Construction Group, I now have six other brands that will be doing business as. There's Firefly Roofing, Firefly Solar, Firefly Juice, Firefly Air, which is for HVAC, Firefly Construction, which is sort of general construction, patios,
Okay.
renovations and such, and then Firefly Electrical, which is general electrical work. So we've got this family of Firefly companies now under the one brand or one moniker of Firefly Construction Group.
Mhm.
And Firefly Construction Group is all about sustainability, environmentally friendly energy, conservation, and renewable energy and everything else. So everything we do is going to be focused. For example, I say everything we do, it'll have a lean toward resiliency and efficiency and so on. Sometimes it's just going to be a roof, but sometimes it's going to be a certified cool roof, which is like a
Yeah.
certain material or color that is more, has more radiant barrier effect and stuff like that. So that will always be our preference to do things, even in general construction, that are more about sustainability and so on. So that
Wow.
to answer your question, that's what we're doing. Where I'm instead of scaling back, I'm scaling up and starting, six companies instead of one.
Well, they're all speaking to each other.
Yes.
And I mean, that language to be like, again, going back to commercial real estate, commercial construction, that's what you just said. We're solving problems for them every
That's
day,
right.
all
Yeah.
day,
Yeah.
right? Like that's design standards that they have to knock out during design reviews. And you're just like,
Yeah.
hey, I can be an all encompass solution to these things that you don't have to source them out. They
Exactly.
don't have participation requirements. So they find someone they like and they keep them.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
in the Carolinas.
Yes.
There is, okay, we could talk about this offline, but there is a newer Cary. I want to say Cary is in North Carolina.
Carrie
Cary, North Carolina.
sounds right.
I
That
feel
sounds,
like
yeah.
okay. Um, so there's a newer development in that area, and that required quite a bit of sustainability features.
Mm.
Um, and I helped. It's like a 3 million square feet like property kind of thing. It's like it's
Nice.
huge. Um, and so I helped win that for the team that did the MEP work.
Mm.
And I'm just wondering if those types of conversations would be really valuable to you. And
Yeah.
again, I'm saying like side note, like obviously, but it's just kind of top of mind thinking like that would be perfect. I mean,
Yeah.
you're preparing your business, like you have 6 businesses, yes, but they're solutions to one avatar, which I feel is like, in my opinion, is domination of like commercial construction, commercial real estate.
Hmm.
Because I mean, that's what they're doing every day is sourcing, and especially in North Carolina and in South Carolina, where there's a lot of land, there's a lot of new development. That's especially in North Carolina, they
Yeah.
push green everywhere they go when it's coming to building. So
Hmm.
just kind of food for thought. But that's how this happens, right? It's like connections, and we talk about our business. This is why it's so important to talk about your business wherever you go.
Yeah.
Talk about what you're doing, how you're doing it. You don't have to share the secret sauce or anything, y'all. Like those that are listening in your car, whatnot. But um, the goal is just to share it with people because you never know what insight they might bring.
Right.
Um, so
That's interesting you say that too, because it's another commitment I made to myself literally within the last week is that I need to. I typically go out for lunch every day. I leave the office for a while. I go have lunch, and it's kind of my own time to just sort of get away from everything.
yeah,
But I recognize the need to really start getting around other successful business owners and entrepreneurs and that kind of thing. So I've made a commitment that I'm going to start having lunch dates with other people, just people I know that are in business and doing things, not necessarily the same business, but any business. And um, just getting around like-minded, hardworking, entrepreneurial people, because I think the energy of those kinds of people, we feed each other. And I think
mhm,
that's an important thing that I'm potentially missing right now.
yeah,
So you kind of just touched on, like, yeah, I need to make more of an effort to do that. So I've already got 2 lunch dates lined up next week with other business owners and so on. So
excellent.
yeah.
Yeah. So maybe that's it. Like, and you nailed it. I mean, there are, I have all types of entrepreneur friends and business owner friends, right? And
Hmm.
everyone's at different levels. And so when I'm in go mode or I'm in strategy mode, I go to like the higher earners, the people that have already done
Yeah.
it. And they're just reminding me of what it already exists because it's hard. If you're just like in the grind, and you're the owner and the operator, that's
Mhm.
challenging.
Tough.
And you just got team around, that's great. However, with it's kind of like that saying with the you are the example, you're the reflection of the 6 people that you surround yourself with. It's
Hmm.
like, so if you feel like, oh man, I'm not growing, I'm tired, I'm exhausted, I'm frustrated, you probably just need to change your
Yeah.
environment.
Yeah. Big time.
As simple as that.
Yeah. Love that. That makes a lot of sense. That's what I'm doing. The idea actually sparked. I was on a plane recently. Actually, I mentioned I went to DC to do
Yeah.
some lobbying and so on. It was on the way back from DC. I sat next to a guy on the plane, and I normally keep to myself on planes. I don't like talking, but for whatever reason, we just struck up conversation. And he's younger than me. I would guess. I think he's in his 40s, and he told me what he was doing, and I'm like, oh, I know the buildings you're talking about, and so on. So, but a very very successful young guy. Told me the kind of dollars they were doing. I'm like, we need to have lunch because I just need to hang out with you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's kind of where it was. But it was the feeling I had after talking with him on the plane that I'm like, I need more of this. So I'm
Hmm.
going to go out and find it. Yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah.
That's awesome. Hmm. Is there anything else that you want to share about Firefly?
About Firefly. Well, we've been around 9 years, been through a lot of ups and downs, but we're moving in the right direction, and this is a major hurdle, but excited that I'm excited about what it's kind of forcing me to do, and excited
Mm.
about how it's forcing me to be a little creative,
Yeah.
because hopefully at the other end of this is a much bigger, more successful business than what I have now. Hopefully at the end of this, I'll be like, well, that was the kick in the pants I needed to actually get to the next level. But we've got, we've got about 40 employees right now. Love them all, doing my best to keep things growing so we can avoid layoffs and casualties if at all possible, and as certainly as much as possible. But they're all good people, and we've got a great brand. We do our best. I've always had this motto that if you're not 100% happy, it's because we're not 100% finished. And
Wow. I love
everybody,
that.
thank you, and everybody takes that on. Everybody really
Yeah.
works hard to take care of the customers. My kind of whole thing is I don't. I put my employees before my customers, because if I put my employees first, they will put the customers first, and I never have to think about them. And so,
Agree.
and I'm not always the best at it. I always live in a place of stress and anxiety because of just keeping everything together. So sometimes I'm not necessarily as attentive or as patient with someone as I should be, but I'm always trying, and I think they sense that. I think they see that, and then they really take that into the field and take care of the customers in the same way, because they believe in what we're doing. They believe that what we have is better than what a competitor might have, and so they a customer should work with us because you'll have a better experience. So it's cool. Anyway, that's what I wanted to share. We've got good people, and they do good work. So,
Where did you get your resilience from?
um, well, I don't know. Probably my dad. I think my dad is an entrepreneurial guy, and he's so it might just be sort of in the DNA. But I this is not a South Carolina accent, in case anybody was wondering. I grew up in New Zealand, so I'm actually a dual citizen between New Zealand and America. And I moved back to. I was born in the States and spent a couple of years here as a child, but moved back here when I was 30 years old. And I moved back with two suitcases, $1,000, and 1 week's accommodation booked at a hostel in New York City, and that's it.
Wow.
I had no job,
Wow.
no more than $1,000, no more than 1 week's accommodation, and two bags of clothes, and that was it. And that there's been that and a few other things in my life where people have said, "You're really brave," and I'm like, I don't know if it's brave or just stupid. I'm not sure. I just have an idea and I do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and so I used to say, obviously in business, there's been a lot of hard times, a lot of times where I'm right on the edge, right on that cliff edge, where I'm like, oh my God, how are we going to survive next week? How am I going to make payroll tomorrow? Whatever it is. And I've often said, I'm too stubborn to fail.
Mm.
And then I was talking with a friend once, a new friend at the time. Now she's been a friend for a long time. But I was at a retreat thing, and was talking with this lady I just met, and it was at a time when business was really tough. I'm like, I don't know how we're going to survive this. It's really really bad right now.
Oh.
But I said to her, but I'm too stubborn to fail. That's why we keep pulling through. And and she challenged me. She said, like, why don't we say the same thing but with a positive spin? Why don't we say, instead of too stubborn to fail, to just say I'm committed to success?
Yeah.
And I like that. So that became my new thing. I'm committed to success. So the resilience comes from commitment. Just comes a commitment to succeed. There's no other option. So,
Lovely. Oh my gosh. Oh, I'm taking all that in because like I resonate with all of that and I just feel oh man, you're a powerhouse all in itself because that is it. Like it's just we get the success that we want out of iterations. We can't give up once we do it once or twice, or
Yes.
we just got to
Yeah.
keep doing it, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I did hear a quote or read in a book or something one time. Somebody said, you don't succeed by doing the right thing. You succeed by doing the right thing over and over and over and over again. So that makes sense. So,
That makes sense.
yeah.
That's awesome. Wow. So, how can people reach out to you and connect with you or learn more about Firefly?
Um, well, so we have our website is firefly.solar, no .com, but that's about to change as we're rebranding everything. And a new website is going that will still exist, that website, but a new website is going to be fireflylife.com. And that's going to be the home for all the different brands in that one place. Uh,
Fireflylife.com. I love
yeah.
that.
And that's not,
Life.
yeah, you
Cool.
could go there now. It just says under construction, but that'll be launched in the next few weeks. And it's going to be the place for all the different brands in one home. And you can certainly reach out to me there. But I wouldn't. I would say LinkedIn, but I get so much spam on LinkedIn. If I get a
I
genuine
know.
person reaching out, I'll probably miss it. But you can email the company hello@firefly.solar is the company email address, and
Cool.
that'll certainly get to me if you've got questions or anything. But yeah, hello@firefly.solar. Yeah, happy to chat with anyone who wants to chat. Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay. We'll make sure to have those links in the show notes. And maybe we could time it, we can help you out with the timing a little bit with this episode so that we're closer to the launch of the new site, because that would be really fun. And I'd love to see it too.
Yeah.
Support you however I can. But man, is there anything else you want to share with the audience?
Well, let me think. Your audience is entrepreneurial business people. Is that the general
Mhm.
thing? Yeah. Um, Hang in there. It's I the first few years of business was really tough, and then our best year at the time, we've had another good year since then, but our best year at the time was in 2022, and I was actually on a trip in the second half of that year to Italy. I went to Italy for a month with my wife, and we traveled around. It was amazing, and it was the first time in years I'd actually felt relaxed
Mm,
and like, wow, things are finally going well. I finally got a little bit of income to do a fun trip like this. Um,
mm.
the business is in a good place, and I felt the first time ever I felt really, really for the first time since starting the business, I felt relaxed and comfortable. And I was naive enough to think that that was the way it was going to be from then on. And I got a rude awakening in 2023, the very next year, when interest rates went through the
Yep.
roof, sales went
Yep.
through the floor, and suddenly I'm back to where I was in 2020 when we were dealing with COVID. And
Wow.
so I've learned that that cliff edge is always in the rearview mirror.
Mm,
Always, you've just got to stay as far away from it as you can. And
mm.
the longer you do this, you'll develop skills and various knowledge on how to do things to get when you start seeing it getting closer in the rearview mirror.
Yeah.
You'll learn how to put the gas down a little bit to get further away from it again. But understand it's always there.
Yeah.
If you hang in there, learn, and be resilient. Don't take no for an answer. There's been so many solar companies go under in the last few years because of various challenges to the industry, and we could have easily been one of those companies on multiple occasions. But I was committed to success. So be committed and look in the rearview mirror, see how close that cliff edge is, and figure out how to put the gas on to get yourself further away from it.
Mhm.
So I guess that's what I would leave the
That's
listeners.
Yeah, that's great advice. I love that advice. Spot on is probably, I mean, that, yes, 100% agree with that. And I appreciate that. Appreciate your heart and this conversation and just getting to know you a little bit more. Definitely would love to talk more and see how we can work together. But
Yeah,
for all of our listeners, thanks so much for listening. Hopefully you took what Aaron shared today to heart, because it's all in the iterations. It's all about just focusing on success, and it will come. It will come.
yeah,
And, it's just resiliency. I love that. That's the word of the day for
yeah,
sure.
yeah, for sure. Awesome.
Well, thank you so much, Aaron. And for the rest of you, I'll see you in the next episode.
Thank you. Appreciate it.